Okay. Hey everybody, welcome. Good evening today. Welcome everybody to join the Data Science Alumni panel. It is my pleasure and my honor to invite our data science alumni who have been working in the industry for a while now and are doing excellent and amazing stuff out there. And it's a great thing that they've spared time today from their schedule to be able to share some tips and tricks on how to enter the professional world and how to essentially secure those kinds of jobs that we are always been looking for and we've been kind of looking for. So without any further ado, let's meet the panelists. I want to first welcome Poonam.
Hey, hi everyone. Good evening. I'm Poonam. I graduated in summer 2023. Been working as a data engineer with Amazon since then in Alexa Smart Home team. I work with massive data sets. I actually love working with my own data because you actually get to see how you play around with your smart home devices, and then that's a great thing to work around. Apart from work, I am being in Washington. I love watching sunset whenever the sun comes out. So I love going out for long road trips, and yeah, I love exploring new places. So I'm excited to meet you all, share some thoughts, and yeah, get to know you. That's all.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, hello everyone, folks out here. My name is Atharva. Currently working as a data analyst at GVEC. I have about 1 year of work experience in the data domain in the United States now. As you can read, I fulfill in the reporting needs of my organization, keep all those stakeholders happy. Besides work, I like to play cricket, football, pickleball, and I also love to play video games. And yeah, excited to meet you, get to know you, and help you guide through the job process.
Hey everyone, good evening. I'm Vishwam Thakkar. I graduated in fall 2022, and currently I work as a data engineer at a NASCAR Cup Series team called 2311, which is co-owned by none other than Michael Jordan and one of our other drivers and our competitors, Denny Hamlin. At 2311, I play with some seriously cool data that is driver telemetry, car telemetry, how the drivers work, but also since I work as a data engineer, I also focus quite a lot on developing and maintaining our data pipelines, our data analytics tools, and also like because there is a thin line of I can of what I can work, so I can also work on models that helps us develop strategies and performance and help us perform on the racetrack. Also, I get to work on the racetracks during weekends or from Airspeed, which is our race shop. So yeah, happy to be here. Thank you, the data science department, for inviting all of us here. Would love to like share our thoughts in terms of job hunting and the ups, downs, the bad, the good, the ugly. So yeah, thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Ansh and I'm a Fall 23 graduate. After graduating, I've been working as a BI engineer and specific to growth analytics at build.com. What I can say about my job profile is majorly I'm surrounded with data and whatever the growth platform analytics and how our product actually works. Like I try to provide some insights about like how our product is actually working, where are the metrics where we can focus and actually grow our product, and also support the team with the ad hoc analysis. So there's a lot of things which I work on. It's basically ad hoc analysis, building data models to drive some insights and work on the data as and when needed. Uh, Outside the work, I love to do a lot of hike also thanks to like Colorado and Utah. There's not like a big difference between Colorado and Utah, so I still have that passion of going for hikes. I play a lot of sports. And yeah, I'm happy to help and guide you through the job hunting process. And yeah, happy to see you all over here. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Poonam. Thanks, Atharva. Thanks, Vishwam. And thanks, Ansh, for joining us today. Pretty great introductions, pretty great titles and job descriptions you all guys have. So it's pretty cool to know a lot more about your job hunting process and your experience entirely. I also want to thank that we all have the data science staff as well with us today, our graduate advisor, Jax, the online advisor, Emily, as well, our program manager, Caitlin, and the director of the program, Dr. Brian Zaharatos, as well with us today. So what the way we're going to do today is we ask that you ask us questions using the Q&A feature that is down there below. At first, for the next couple of 15 to 20 minutes, we want a panelist to kind of, our panelists will basically talk about a lot of things that we have kind of given them some questions and they want to talk about and share things, different things like resume experiences, job hunting processes, interview questions, and things like that. And after that, we'll open the floor to you guys. So feel free to make use of the Q&A feature to ask us questions. And all our alumni will be happy to answer those questions as well. So let's get started. The first question that I think belongs to a bit on the resume side of things, actually. Can you share about how quantifying your work experiences in your resume has helped in interviews? Things like improvements, accuracy, like those kinds of numbers. How much of an impact have they actually been helpful when you have submitted your resumes and when you've applied for job applications out there?
Sure. Would love to share my insights on that. Honestly speaking, like there are two ways, like, in terms of like quantifying your resume helps. Mainly, the first thing is like, if you guys are not already aware of it, but like currently, mainly major, bigger organizations usually use ATS, which is applicant tracking systems. And applicant tracking systems is nothing but, it goes through your resumes, looks for keywords that they have inputted, looks for, how well you match in terms of like, what their requirements are on the job. So sometimes, like, some of the ATS systems have become so robust and so good that they have started, like, implementing obviously AI. This is the generation of AI. So using that, like, how well you have developed or how well you have described, quantifiable work, which they can, like, ask you questions on. Essentially, like, let's say on your resume, you have mentioned that I build models. Fine. But like at the same time, if you have mentioned that, I've built models that improved accuracy by 10%, just an example, not a big example, but that kind of thing, like that is something that is quantifiable. The hiring manager can also know exactly, what they can ask you of, how you have done it. So that's the second part of, the hiring manager or a panel, like let's say you have a panel interview, a coding interview, like they will have something to ask you based on if you say you have built models, they have nothing to go on. If you say that I've built models which improve the accuracy of previous models by 10%, okay, how did you do that? So they have that questions in their head as well. Or I've maintained data, I maintain a data pipeline and I've improved the efficiency by 30%, something like that. So it is a big part in terms of how you write your resume, especially as I said with applicant tracking systems out there. So it's actually really important. And if you do not do it nowadays, like they have become so good that your resume might not even be picked for the hiring manager to send to the HR recruiter to essentially give you a HR screening call or something like that, basically moving to the next step. So yeah, it's really, really important. I'm not sure if anybody other than me and the panel has something to add on to it, but in my perspective, it's really important.
Yeah, I can add to that as well. So what you can do is that you have the help of ChatGPT, you can just put in the job description for every position in that, and then you just can extract those keywords from there and then just add it in your resume so that passes through the ATS screening and at least you get an interview call. So if you have AI, then make use of that I would definitely suggest on that.
And just to add on to it, like, again, as good as ChatGPT is, it's still a model. It's still biased. So like there are also, you can still use it. I'm not saying not to use it. Like definitely use it. It's a big help. But in terms of like, just an ATS screener, there are multiple other websites out there that let you like scan your resume for free. Please do not pay for anything. It's not required. But at the same time, like, it will give you a little bit of an idea of how much of your resume is matched to the job description, and like those websites actually use the same algorithm that some of the organizations, like some of the hiring organizations, use. So like there is Resi, there is an ATS scanning system by JobScan as well. So like there are multiple different like if you just search on Google ATS resume scanner or checker, like it will give you like list of domains that you can visit. And please do not pay for it. It's not worth it. Whatever you see over there, like you can then maybe go to ChatGPT and be like, hey, this is the job description, my resume is this, it matches this much, I need to like add quantifiable values, or I need to like show accuracy, like if I have what kind of quantifiable things I've done, it will be able to guide you. So yeah.
I'll even say have multiple resumes if you're applying for different positions, like maybe analyst position, data science, or data engineer. Tailor your resume accordingly. Maybe add projects that align to the job roles accordingly, and just don't add random projects that might add up to your passing through ATS and will help you a lot. So tailoring every time a bit might help as well.
Awesome. Could you answer on like what kind of common questions like have you gotten in your interviews, especially around like projects and experiences? If possible, could you guys just share about your interview experiences? Like how was the entire process for your organizations and or for your team specifically as well?
I can talk about it. So when you say about interview, it's always the technical round and the behavioral round. We sometimes just think that behavioral might not be important, but if I take up my company, it's equally very important for them to have a good behavioral round. So if we say about the technical, it always starts about your resume and the projects that you have done. Or if you have experience, then it revolves around the experience that you talk about the experience. So the interviewer has a lot of things to ask you about it. How did you work on? What did you work on? But for if there are many projects, that I feel that one should know the projects very well, what exactly happened in the project, so that if they ask you, like maybe just explain a project which aligns to the role or something which is very relevant, you should be very much confident about telling each and everything that goes in the project. That why did you just do that project? Was it relevant, or what did you learn from that project? Then the questions start revolving around it, that what were the challenges that you faced, or what did you learn from it? What technologies did you use? Why did you do that? um, what did you achieve from that project? Was it what was the actual use case behind the project that you did? This is something that revolves around projects very, I have seen multiple times. And technical questions changes according to the job roles, and what are the job requirement for the person. But for the behavioral, always say don't take it lightly. Just every company says that we want a star format, which says stand for situation, task, action, and the results. So you make sure that you answer any behavioral question in this format. It actually makes it easier for the interviewer to understand what you actually told and what you did. Coming back to Amazon's very specific interview, they have 16 leadership principles, and they love asking behavioral questions around those principles always. So it's like, even if they ask you a very straightforward question, they try to find how you actually answered it and covered one or two leadership principles in it. And that's how you get a brownie point. Like, okay, he answered it, but he also covered some leadership principles in it. So yeah, that is something important. And coming to Amazon, they have, if it's a early grad position, I'll say they have lesser rounds, and it is a easier way to get around in Amazon. If you get an internship, you'll have pretty less rounds to go to and correct around. But if it's a actual main position, then you'll have a hiring manager, then you have a OA online assessment, Then you'll have a 5 loop rounds, which will go around everything and anything, and then the final HR round. But if it's just an internship or early grad role, you'll have probably what, two interviews on, or just an online assessment before that, which you can clear. You should. And the rounds are pretty good, a bit aggressive, but always manageable and doable. I think the process might be same, but difference with everyone. I think everyone will have a different experience over here for the interview. How did that go for them? But I'll say get an internship, and the interviews for the internship will be much easier than the interviews for a full time. Easy way around to get a full time then.
Poonam,
just
regarding your experience in Amazon while interviewing, like for the technical rounds, what kind of what were the questions revolving around? Like, was it again besides your project, if there were any live coding interviews, or was there like more like take us through a case study and talk us about how you would approach this particular problem?
So for my data engineering interview, I had live coding as well. So my live coding was all about SQL and Python, since it's a data role. Didn't include any system designing or case study for my role probably, but it was aggressive SQL live coding, and the questions all were around database and infrastructure. And since I had work experience about data, so it came back to my experience and what did I do over the years in building pipelines and how did I manage around it, and probably a few use cases that they typically want to know about it. But that's how they revolve for the data roles.
Anybody else like Atharvansh or Vishwam, you guys want to add on to like something different about your interview experiences as well?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about, I can second on that, which Poonam said, like, like, have a good mindset of getting internship and converting that internship into a full-time job. That will actually help you a lot while doing the process, like interview process for a full-time job. It's much easier to get internship, like not internship, like converting internship to full-time, and they won't ask you a lot of questions around it. But I can talk about different roles which I got interview from. So I kind of got all three segments of, I would say, the data roles. I got an interview call for data analyst position, BI position in the company which I'm working for, and also a data scientist position. So I can talk, I can say like those three positions vary. The interview process varies, but for specifically for talking about data analyst and a BI engineer or BI analyst position, the most concentrated, I think, the technical round would be around SQL knowledge and how actually you are good at solving like complex queries. They won't go much into Python if it's not a data engineer position, as one Poonam is working for. They will ask you definitely about the Python stuff, but talking about data analysts and BI analysts, I won't say like they don't go much in detail in Python. They heavily focus on SQL and how much knowledge do you have around SQL and databases. And the only place where they will test you on Python skills would depend on the position they're asking for. I've seen people ask like automation stuff around Python, where they do ask you about web scraping a bit, where they actually test you on like if you are able to scrape the data from the web and actually work on it. So I would say get a knowledge about how web scraping work using Python and some of the automation thing around Python. And for the behavior, I would say like the managers which have like those behavioral rounds, basically they are testing you like will you be a good fit to your with their team, because they know like how their team is functioning and they want to add you to their team. So they will test you like how is your behavior towards several questions. They might ask you like some critical questions like testing on your leadership or like critical thinking, and on a short period of time, like how are you thinking about those things. So they will test you on those things as well. But I would say like behavioral for me was an easy round, because I mean I was able to have a friendly chat with my manager, and it kind of helped me a lot. Because I was comfortable talking about my experiences, like how what I'm actually doing and what my previous experiences were in the data role. So that helped me kind of gel up with my manager, and actually, it was an easy task for me. And for technical, I can talk about like even I had a live SQL coding test. So it was couple of like complex questions which revolved around window functions. So I would say definitely go for window functions for SQL. They won't ask you just to aggregate or group anything and just ask you the sums. They'll actually test you on couple of complex queries using window functions. So I would say like definitely have start working on those questions as well. And apart from that, I think once you pass the technical round, it would be I think, a team round where you'll kind of just talk to the team which you would be working with. And I think the first two rounds would be a deal breaker if you can pass the behavioral round and then the technical round. I think then it would be a easy task for you to get the internship or the full-time position you're applying for. Yeah, thing.
Awesome. I think that covered a wide range of questions and kind of what to expect around interviews across behavioral and technical side of things as well. One thing that I've always that I've looked up and started seeing online as well that is kind of happening is portfolios. Like the word portfolio is kind of being used a lot among a lot of people. Do you guys have any experiences where in your job hunting process you guys created a portfolio, or you guys maybe were asked to show a portfolio? Now that portfolio could be like a website or a GitHub profile or anything like that. But were you asked any times that show us something different than your resume, something like that?
Yeah, I can talk about that one. So, I'll say that portfolio definitely matters. Say if you are a fresh grad out of your bachelor's, and then it will be difficult to get interviews for, because companies, they do look for experience. But then if you have a portfolio which includes various various range of tech stack, then showing that in your portfolio would be like a plus point. And for my interview personally, where I'm working right now at GVC, they actually asked me to showcase one of my projects from my portfolio. So what I had to do was I had to create a presentation and then explain why I did that project, what were the challenges in there, why did I decide that topic, and then how comfortable I was using all the various tech stacks for that. And then, yeah, and they were pretty impressed by that. Like, I can just give you a quick overview. Like, I can just share my screen and just show you the portfolio of what I have. So you can see that this is my portfolio, just a random home screen where you have a 2-3 line of summary that I'm interested in data science. I've completed my master's in data science. Want to do some work in AI and machine learning, and then my education background and something. And then projects, they are like well documented. This is a project where I did with Plotly. This is a visualization tool that you can use. This is a kind of a database project. Then this is something related to Power BI. So all my portfolio is kind of revolving around all those data analyst, BI reporting roles. So I would definitely say that a portfolio would make a difference to your application when you want to interview for a job. Definitely.
Nice. Vishwam, in your case, like for 2311, was there something different because it's a racing company? Was there something completely out of the blue that you weren't expecting that they kind of asked you to do or show?
Honestly, no. It was a pretty basic interview round that I had. I just had a couple of rounds. Considering, like, it's a racing organization, they want to like get involved and get and spend resources on like developing the data background, data analysis, especially with like how much data analysis helps in terms of like coaching the driver, looking at like cars telemetry, like knowing like if there is something wrong with the cars or anything like that. But at the same time, like it's such a new industry to like actually start going into data. So the one round I had was just a technical round. It was just like explaining, like, because I have previous experience before I joined my master's degree as well. So like they asked about that, what kind of projects I worked on, like especially like because I had different experiences in all three different portfolios, which is data engineering, data analysis, and data science. So like that was a big plus. So like if you have something like that, that could be maybe sometime more than enough, maybe not. Depends on like where you are applying, which organization you are applying to. But at the same time, like for 2311, what's more important is if you have like a little bit of knowledge of what they are trying to hire, they are okay with it. But as Poonam mentioned, like behavioral can be really important for them. Behavioral, I mean, I wouldn't even call it behavioral. It's just like it's the questions are like just a chat, but it's very like would you be a good fit for what they are trying to do, especially because it's a spectator sport, so they are trying to like build a different reputation than rest of the organizations that are in NASCAR. So if you have just a little bit of knowledge, we can like spend resources on you to actually train you. But at the same time, what we want to know is, are you a good fit for the entire organization? So sometimes it's really important. For my case, like even though like there wasn't like much of like technical interview, like in terms of like like actually asking me to do a live coding assessment, or showing me giving me a case study to work on, like a takeaway assessment, or like lead code or hacker rank and all of those things. It was just like the technical manager actually just understanding my technical background and like asking me questions on it, and like just seeing how well I can explain what I was trying to do. But what worked mainly for me was like just a little bit of my racing enthusiasm, and like how well I connected with the team over there. And when I had the panel behavioral interview, like that is what mainly worked for me. But again, like if you go obviously for Amazon like Poonam is, or if you go for any of the bigger tech firms, or a bigger tech organization, or an organization that has a big tech, even finance industries has a big tech uh, thing right now. So in that case, like technical round would maybe have like a 50-50, because I have given rounds which are also where like I've given interviews where technical round as well as behavioral was a 50-50 split. Like they give equal importance to each other, to both, or sometimes technical actually takes much more importance. But yeah, it depends on like which industry also you are applying for. So yeah.
Awesome. I think so. We want to open now the rest of the time to you guys. Actually, feel free to ask us questions using the Q&A feature, and based on the time that based on whatever time we have, we'll be happy to answer those questions actually. And um, it's okay. Please don't worry that any question is like a stupid question or a wrong question or anything. This is your job hunting search, so it's your opportunity to ask these alumni as to what their thinking is and what their thought process is and how can they best help you in this entire process. So go for any questions that you feel like that would help you in your job searching. One question that we have that somebody has asked is, what were you guys doing before joining the MSDS program? Like, what was your experiences, work experience wise, and things like that?
Sure. A good question. Like as I said, like it depends on like like Atharva mentioned, if you're doing if you are just fresh out of your bachelor's going directly to MSDS, a portfolio could be a big add. But if you have previous work experience, it could be like they might not even ask you about the portfolio. Obviously, some organizations will still ask you, but like they will more ask you about, okay, what was your previous experience and what kind of projects you were doing over there. So for me, like I completed my bachelor's in 2018 in computer engineering from Gujarat University. And then I, for about 3 years, worked as a software engineer. You can say a software engineer because that was my on-paper role at Infosys. But and in that role, I was working mainly as a front office data analytics engineer. I know your name, but in for British Petroleum. So that helped me a lot because I was working for an international client, while also that particular project giving me a major advantage of what I was working on and exactly what I wanted to do. So as I said, I have some bit of experience over those 3 years, actually like almost a year of each in working as data engineer, data analyst, and a data scientist. So that also helps a lot. And mainly if you go into an interview, like they might ask you more more focused interview, especially if it's just a hiring manager and not a technical coding assessment interview, about what were your experiences and what the projects were. So yeah.
Yeah, even same goes for me. Even I worked for 2 years back in India before joining the MSDS program. So my job title was again a software developer, but it was a combination of developing and data engineer. So I'll say my experience in India helped me a lot during my interview, because when I got my interview, it was my first semester of my master's program, just 2 months into the master's program. So the experience actually helped me a lot to go through the interview process.
Same for me. Like, I had some experience working in the data role before joining my MSDS program. So that actually helped me kind of gives a heads up to my team or the position I was applying for. So I was able to actually talk about my experience in the data role, and the kind of thing they were actually looking at. So it kind of resonated with what they were looking for. So I think experience does uh, come into picture if like it gives you a plus point, but not to say like the ones which don't have any experience, like Tav said, like portfolio is a good option to just showcase your skills. Like you have these skills which will actually help you in that job, and don't be afraid to add projects which resonates with the data positions you're applying for. Even if you don't have any portfolio, I would say still mention the projects in the project section in the resume. Uh, link those projects to actual GitHub profiles or wherever you have kind of posted it. I know in a lot of subjects which we have, like there's always a final project at the end. So I would say if that kind of links up with the position you're applying for, do mention in the resume. It's no harm to mention projects you have worked on, which actually shows you like team effort also. Like if it's a team project, it actually shows you like you actually worked in a team setup, and also you got like a good project around the same thing. So I would say like do mention projects wherever possible in the resume.
I see that Niranjan has his hand raised. Niranjan, you want to unmute and ask a question?
Oh yeah, thanks, Dosh, and thank you, seniors. Thanks for joining. I've been waiting to talk to you all for a very long time. So I have this question. I kind of want to know your journey on landing that interview. We spoke a lot about, how was your interview, what questions were asked, but I think me and most of us in this call are stuck in that first phase. We see a job opening, we submit our application, and people try different things. Some tailor their resume, some write a cover letter, some just say, apply jobs within Denver or Boulder, or some just say, apply as early as possible. So there are different things people say. So I would like to know what worked for you. You must have done something, and then suddenly you might have seen, your response rate getting better. So I would like to know what worked for you. I would like to know this for each one of you, and also talk a little bit about quality versus quantity. I know people who apply for 500 jobs, and I know people who apply for just 100, but they make sure tailor their resume to every line of their resume. So yeah, I mean about this as well. So yeah.
Yeah,
Great
I can
questions,
talk on that.
Niranjan.
Yeah, I can talk on that. So for me, it was the numbers game. I will not lie with you. Uh, For me, it was almost 1,400 applications after I graduated. Even after that, I landed some 14 interviews. But I also, while I was applying, right, there was a phase where I thought of giving some time to every application that I did. So at some point, I was just applying to 5 jobs per day. But then I was spending like 45 minutes on my resume so that it could match whatever the job description was there. So that was there, and then sometimes used to apply 30 days. So don't have like a hard and fast strategy. It really depends on the day. If you're in the mood, just go for it. But if you have decided, then put all that time in there. That's one thing I'll tell. And then what else? Definitely quality will matter at some point. Put in that effort for put in all those keywords. That will definitely matter. But don't just go on applying as well. I would definitely say that, because numbers, it's all about the numbers game, especially for those who don't have work experience. You don't have anything right now in the resume that will basically satisfy those job requirements. Yeah, projects are great, I know, but if you apply more, the more you apply, the more the more chance that you'll get an interview call. So yeah, that's my 2 pointer.
Yeah, to second that, first of all, nice to meet you, Niranjan. Um, it's a number game, I would say, especially like, but also like don't take our word for it. Also, because all of us
Yeah.
like graduated a year and a half, 2 years ago. The situation might be different. There might be more positions opening up, so like always keep an eye, and you might get better. I know for a fact that. It differs for everyone. For Ansh, for example, who graduated a year later than us, it was he's the one who got it and got it sooner, like not applying to thousands of applications.
Nice.
But at the same time, yes, like keep applying. What worked for me, especially, was I did a mix where, as Atharva mentioned, like applying 5, 6 jobs a day, like but at the same time, like do not burn yourself out. If you are in the mood, if you know that you can sit down and spend some time, find the job descriptions that you love the most. You are like, oh, this is a job I really really want, and put some effort into it. The others, like, keep a common resume for, let's say, if you are applying to all three positions, which is data analyst, data engineer, data scientist, then keep a common resume. That's what worked for me. So not saying it works for everyone, but like keep a common one which that will match most of it, and just apply. Like that would maintain your numbers game, and then find that very niche job descriptions that you are like, oh, I would love this job. In that case, put on some time into it, even if you have to spend an hour just to tailoring your resume to that particular job description. Tailor it and then send it forward and then apply to it. So like that's what worked for me. Like when I saw 20 through 11, like even though like it wasn't like I didn't put like an hour worth of effort, but I was like, oh, this would be a cool place to work at. Like it's not a typical day job. Like it's an amazing place. Like I would like to work on this kind of in this kind of an industry, and that I put some effort in. But I've also got interview calls just based on like the just cold applying. Like just I had my resume sitting on my phone, and I'm like going to bed, and I'm like, I'm tired, but let's like just scroll through job descriptions and see if I find something. And I'm like, oh, this might be good. Read the job description very quickly, just glance over it. You are like, oh, this matches a little bit, I'll just apply. And I've got interview calls like that as well. So both, like some people do focus on just applying, like putting all the effort in every job application. That would mean like you apply lesser, but yes, you have more chances of conversion, because you are tailoring your resume. So at least you will get through the first phase of you getting a call of like HR screening, and then moving forward. uh, but at the same time, like if you are like, I don't want to miss out on some job application because like I wasn't feeling good, so I didn't apply. So I'll just keep a resume ready to go. Find a job description, like the next day it might be gone. Like they might open it for like 5 hours, or they might open it for just 24 hours, and you're like, oh, I'll apply to it. You save it, and next day you see you cannot apply anymore. So rather than like if it's something that you're like, it's fine. Like, I just need a job. So like, I'll just do it, just apply to it with your like a common resume.
Yeah, whatever Vishwam said right now, it's like very important. Sometimes just the position is open for very short time, so we just miss out on it. So set as much as alerts you can. Just don't rely on one website. Maybe just don't rely on LinkedIn. Try Indeed. We used to find jobs on H1B grader or something like that. Just open up multiple alerts on various websites and track jobs from that, and I think that helps a lot, because sometimes a month old position will not give you an interview, but if an interview position is open a day later or something like that, there are higher chances of getting an interview over there. So look in that, and maybe sometimes it works that you just don't apply from LinkedIn itself, because the easy apply from LinkedIn, the job position might have open a month earlier or so. Just go on the actual website of the company and try applying from there. I have never heard it back from LinkedIn easy apply jobs. That really never worked out for me. But yeah, the timing of the job when you apply really matters. So apply as soon as possible. Put alerts is the only thing that you can do, I'll say.
Yeah, for me,
Yeah,
on the land.
my name is Larry. Yeah, I have a question. I was trying to raise up my hand, but I don't see the features. Let me ask this question. If is there any specific words that you can put into your resume that when the employer is looking for certain position, you look at those keywords and you get into the interview?
I'm not sure if I got it correctly,
Yeah,
but there are not
if let's say, for example, they say they are looking for senior data scientists for certain position, and they provide the job description. Most of the job description will just telling you that we're looking for someone that have advanced in social area. You can talk about proficient in SQL, the Python, and something. And they can say that they are looking for somebody that inside that know more insight in data analysis. No, just in normally job descriptions. But in your resume, do you guys have any experience of certain keyword that maybe by saying in your resume that like data pipeline, in data pipeline contains all the projects. So my question is there any certain keyword that you can put into your resume that that cover all whatever you learn in class?
Yeah, like I would say, like, certain keywords, like in terms of it depends on, like, what kind of position you are applying for. As you mentioned, like, if you are applying for a data engineer position, like, yes, maintaining and handling data pipelines or maintaining data infrastructures, those kind of keywords are important. But most important is what the job description says. So if the job description mentions, for example, that they are looking for AWS data engineer, then you have to mention, like, some of the AWS tools that you know of, or or you have worked on. But at the same, like, it's very specific. Like, as I mentioned, like, if you are applying to like a job that you actually love, what you want to do is actually go to the job description and find the keywords that you need to add, and then obviously add like regular common um, keywords, like, if you are applying for data engineer position, then Python, SQL are, like, the most important, like, so like Python, SQL. Then you can also mention that other languaging programs as well. So like you would mention, like, C Sharp, Java, or anything else if you know of any of it. It's essentially like the most important keyword, as I say, it is from the job description. But like the regular keywords, like like on the top of my head, like, for example, would be, yes, for data pipelines, or like for data scientist, it would be like, so and so model, or and when very early on, like I mentioned, that you have to mention, please mention, like, quantitative or quantifiable values. So like you can mention that as well, like, built a data pipeline. Again, an example, built a data pipeline that or maintain a data pipeline in a way that improves the efficiency of the data infrastructure by 30%. That's just as an example. So like those kind of keywords will always be matched. And you can also, like, if you just want, like, a whole list of keywords, again, like Atharva mentioned earlier, I think it was Atharva, that you can go to chat GPT and essentially mention that, hey, what would be good keywords for a data engineering position, for a data engineering job application, and it will give it to you. Or you can just search on Google as well, you will get it over there as well. Because like an entire list is a little difficult to give right now, but mainly try and get it as close to the job description as you can in terms of matching the keywords.
Yeah, I would like to add on that. You can just, as Vishwam said, the numbers do matter. But say, for example, this is one of the lines which you can put in, like, okay, I built a recommender system using so and so machine learning model. That's not going to create an impact on a resume. So you built a recommender system using so and so model, which mainly helped the marketing team increase their sales by 20%. Or say, for example, it helped reduce the customer churn. Putting in these words that create an impact will definitely give you that interview, because they know that you are creating that impact, and that's going to affect their company as well. So adding in those specifics would definitely matter, putting in those resumes, say for example for a data scientist position.
Nice. We have
I'll say the resume should not be a task-based description. It should be a result-based resume, where the resume should actually show the results of whatever you did, and not just that you had to do something and then you did something using this so and so technologies or whatever. But it actually should say, this was my problem statement and I did this step and I got this result which were useful for so and so purpose. That will actually create an impact. So it should always be a result based instead of a task based.
Awesome. We have a couple more questions as well, and I'm going to try to group them up together. One kind of question that revolves is like, how much are referrals really important in today's market? And like, does applying like a cold email, does having like a cold application have an impact, or rather you'd want to take that time to send out a connection request, reach out to the person, find people who are working in the similar company or for similar roles and reach out to them and then ask for a referral? Because you said some postings are there for like maybe 1 or 2 or 3 days actually. So by the time that person gets back to you and you kind of build that rapport with them to ask for a referral, the posting's always gone. So like, what kind of approach you would suggest on that? Like, go for a referral or first send out an application altogether?
I'll say send out an application before and then try for referral, because it will take some time. By the time you find a person, he accepts your request, you talk to him, because if the market is too saturated, there may be thousands of people reaching out to the same person on the same day. Your email, your LinkedIn message might actually get lost in his conversation. He'll never get back to you also. And sometimes they don't even check because it's like too much saturated. They know they're going to get thousands of messages every day. So just go ahead and apply. Maybe have another email address and resume with all different email track have ready with you, and you can use that one to apply by a referral. So when I was graduating, I'll say we did send out multiple cold emails, but after a while, we could realize that they're actually not getting back to us because the number of messages they're getting on everyday basis. If you know someone very closely, maybe referrals through your friends of friends or family friends, that will help you because they will immediately get back to you and give you a referral out. But just a random cold email messages might not give you the actual result sometimes. So just don't wait for them to reply back. Just apply and then get a referral whenever they get back to you.
Yeah, I would say that just balance out things, divide your day. Say, for example, you decide to do the applications for 3 hours. So 1.5 hours, you just work on those, like you just go on applying with one email, and then the rest 1.5 hours, all you can do is just reach out to people on LinkedIn. cold email them and see where you are at. So you have that balance in there. You don't miss out on your applications as well. You have your two emails. One email you can use to apply, the other email you can use to get those to cold email people and get the interview. So have that balance in there. That's what I'll say.
Atharva, you brought an interesting point of having that balance and if using for 3 years. I have an interesting question for all of you. While you guys were students, how much time on average were you spending on applications actually? Like what was the average time in a week, or let's say in a day? Let's pick a day. On average in a day, how many hours were you spending on applications?
For me, honestly, depends on the time of the day. So when I graduated, I was finding a tough time finding an interview. So I was working part time as well. So all I used to do was like go to part time in the mornings, come back, apply for like couple of hours, then do some daily course, and then at night go see all those LinkedIn posts which were right there, which were a couple of days old. The posts were a couple of days old, so that my probability of getting an interview was much higher. So on an average, I would say like 4 to 5 hours. But then as times get difficult, you do have to increase that average amount of time in a day. Then it would go to like 6 to 7 hours for sure.
For me, it was a little different than Atharva. I think I was a little more luckier than everybody else. By God's grace, it's basically like I had a safety net, so I wasn't that worried. Where I was like interning, I was interning with the university itself, with one of their departments. So like that was a plus for me, where they were willing to make me continue on a contractual work at least. But at the same time, I as I mentioned, that don't burn yourself out. I would say after a while, it will get to a point where you are like, I'm just done. If especially if you are playing the number game, just take a day off. So what for me, it depended. It was anywhere from 10 minutes to like 3-4 hours, like Atharva had in a day. Depends on do I have time? Am I in a mood in which I don't want to apply? I'm just like done for a day or so. So it all depends. Eventually, if you keep on working on it, you are gonna get it. So just trust yourself, I would say. But at the same time, yes, as Atharva mentioned, do not give up. Do not be like, oh, I'm not just getting any jobs, I'm just gonna give up, or I'm not gonna put in the effort. And yes, for international students, all of the international students that are here, for you, it's actually important that as soon as you graduate, you get a job as soon as possible with the time that is ticking for you. I think all of us, over here as panel, were international students. So for us, there was a ticking time bomb that we had to, increase our efforts as the time went on, if you didn't have anything already. And also remember that, do not be like, hey, this job is only gonna pay me 60K a year. This is not enough. I know I'm worth more than that. Just take the job. You are all over here. The good thing is that there is work at will. So if you get a job, just keep on applying to find a better one. And then as soon as you get a better one, you can just go in the morning and say that, hey, I got a better one. So if you can't match it, I might leave. I know it's not a very professional advice to give, but it's an actual advice. Do not be like, this is not the job that I wanted to do. It's not paying me enough. How am I going to support myself? I have student loans or anything. But yeah, it all depends. But do not give up. But at the same time, do not burn yourself out. If you burn yourself out, you are not going to put in the actual effort that you need to with each and every application when you are actually applying with full enthusiasm and focus. So just maintain a little bit of a balance. And sometimes, as I said, some of the interview calls I got is just put in the last 10 minutes before going to bed. I'm already on my bed on my phone, and I just made a cold application and I got a interview call because apparently they like my profile. So just keep on at it.
Yeah, don't get demotivated by all the rejections that you get, for sure. There will be times when you will be at your lowest, but just don't give up, because there's always going to be light at the end of the dark tunnel. So you just have to be at it all the time. no matter what.
I think we have time for one more question. We are almost at time. And this is an interesting one. I don't know, it could result in a longer answer, but what are some of the projects or kind of like data science based projects essentially, or any open source projects that you would recommend for students to kind of pursue while they are doing their masters and while they're studying? Like any specific advice that you guys think would help in deciding on projects that they could do during their semesters?
I can say that as much as you open up your tech stack would be the better. Say, for example, any data science project needs data for that. So for that, then you can just take in data from various sources. That can be from web scraping, writing APIs, fetching the data from APIs. So that's a little bit, you touch data engineering as well using Python. And then one thing you could do is dump that in a SQL database so that you can query the database from there to do your analysis to find those trends. Or you can also link that to a visualization tool like Power BI, Tableau. So now that you touch the data engineering part, you are touching the analysis part where you are visualizing stuff. So that's like you touch various parts of the data project. So that's one thing I'll suggest. For data science, especially, you can do the data engineering part as well, but then the tough part is getting all that GPU to writing those machine learning models. And why did you choose that model and what actual problem that you're trying to solve? You should be very clear on that, because doing like a just random prediction thing is not enough nowadays. You actually need to define a problem from scratch where you'll get the data from various sources and then go on doing stuff on that. So yeah.
Just to tell you, like, I work in the sports industry right now. One of my projects was from sports, but it wasn't like actual like NASCAR sport racing data. But like, if, for example, first of all, like all of you are in the data science department, are in the data science program. So the most important thing that you need to know is you can go into any industry you want. Any industry in that is right now in the United States of America would definitely need some sort of data analysis right now at this moment, because they are collecting a lot of data, be it like, if you are in finance, then financial data, customer data. If you are in sports, you have sports related data. If you want to go in the medical field, or geography, or just staying in the tech world, working on AI and everything. So you have a wide opportunity. So I would just say that, make sure that whatever data you select, like, you can just do projects on whatever you are interested. So if you are interested in medical field, select medical data, and then you can go on from there. If you are in sports, you can select sports data. There are a lot of open source data out there. So yeah.
Awesome. I think we are at time. So I want to thank once again to Poonam, Atharva, Ansh, and Vishwam for spending some time out and helping our fellow master students and people who are about to graduate and are into the job hunt, and giving them your tips and tricks and your ideas on what to do. To all our participants, we will be sharing the presentation and the emails and LinkedIn profiles of all our alumni that are joining today and tomorrow to you guys. So feel free to connect with them and email them if you have any questions down the line. And if you need any help, or if you require any other more tips or tricks from them as well, actually. They are our students, and they are definitely always will be able to help our fellow students as well. Once again, I want to thank everybody for joining today, and I hope you have a great rest of your night or the rest of your day from wherever you're joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Everyone, it was a pleasure being here.
Thank you for arranging this, Darsh. I mean, yeah, really helpful for everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.